3. Woohoo! Day 3 of the Turn Down to Stress, Turn On to Your Relationship workshop. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes since it's not quite 12. Thank you for being here. Hello. Hey guys. Hey Mark, were you guys at the previous lives? Did you learn anything? Did you get your download? If you are new to this, I have a link in my bio still where you can download the workbook, and it's 20 pages. You can get a whole workbook downloaded to you right now that you can follow along with. There's a lot of really good photos that I'm going to try to show you on my computer throughout this live, but it's a good way for you to take notes or just to understand visually what I'm talking about, because these concepts are pretty complex and abstract. If any of you have tried any of the exercises that we covered from day 1 or day 2, let me know. The first day was all about understanding that the way that you show up in your relationship as an adult is very heavily influenced by how you saw love as a young child. Not just from your attachment figures, but from people that you spent time with. So this could be aunts and uncles. This can also be at school, how your teachers tended to your mental emotional needs, physical needs, how they tended to you when you were in times of stress. So those early childhood experiences from ages 0 to 7 have the most impact on you. But the key is that you are not stuck in those programs. That's just kind of how you're hardwired. If you were a computer, I gave this example in the previous days. If you were a computer and you just turned it on for the first time, there's a set of hardwired software that gets downloaded, and it's to help the computer run. That's just how you work as well. So you were set with a bunch of hardwired programs that help you to be better prepared for how to interact with life. But they're not necessarily the most helpful as you grow into an adult and you're like, this isn't serving me anymore. I'm dealing with the same pattern that I've dealt with for like years now, and I can't figure out what's wrong with me. It's not that anything is wrong with you. It's just that some of these programs need to be updated. The second day, we talked about your nervous system and how your nervous system is there to keep you safe and alive. It's your internal alarm system, and it never turns off. So if you resonate with being emotionally reactive, irritable, chronically fatigued, you notice that your immune function is lowered, you have digestion issues, you are more irritable, those are all indications that your nervous system is dysregulated. So before going to the doctor and getting on some sort of medication, I highly encourage you to get more educated on the nervous system. That's what my platform is all about, educating you about dysregulation and how that actually deters you from seeking connection in your relationships, not just romantic relationships, but also friendships. How you interact with strangers is all dependent on how your nervous system perceives them to be either threatening, or if you're just in a state of hypersensitivity, you will not seek connection in any sort of relationship or connection. Today, we're going to be talking about the concept of co-regulation. So co-regulation, or regulation in general, is your ability to regulate that nervous system. So when you're able to understand your nervous system response to environmental stressors, and you're able to regulate, hey Paulina, you're able to regulate and turn down your system, you are so much more resourceful in your ability to see multiple ways of dealing with situations. You will be able to seek connection, and that all happens with your ability to regulate yourself. So the concept of co-regulation is that the more you learn how to regulate your own nervous system, let's say you're able to achieve states of calm and peace, and maybe even just neutrality. Yesterday we talked about being in the fight or flight response looks like worry, anxiousness, rage, fear, panic, anger, frustration. If you resonate with feeling those emotions predominantly through the day, that lets me know that you are in a chronic state of sympathetic nervous system arousal, which is survival mode. And it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing. That's how your nervous system learned how to engage with the environment, because at some level you were feeling unsafe. So it's keeping you safe, but it's keeping you safe from things that are not threatening. So we have to rewire your subconscious programs and your nervous system's response to that perceptual threat that it's perceiving from your environment. So again, the more that you learn how to self-regulate, the more you will positively influence everyone in your surroundings, and you'll also seek connection versus becoming disconnected or distant in your relationship. There's an amazing company. It's called the Heart Math Institute. I'm going to type it in the comments so you can check it out. Heart Math Institute. And they are doing amazing research on understanding that you are not just your physical body. They're able to take data and understand that your energy body or your electromagnetic field actually extends beyond your physical body. So you're just like this floating bubble that you know that you influence other people, because you also know that when somebody who is angry walks in the room, you adjust sometimes to their anger or their stress level. Kids are like very susceptible to this. When their parents are in high levels of stress, they immediately take on that emotion without having any sort of cognitive, conscious awareness that that's what's happening. But you can also see how you are easily influenced by people who are dysregulated or are angry or stressed. I know we've all had that coworker that negatively influences us or negatively impacts our mood because they're having a shitty day. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I having a shitty day? Well, it's because their electromagnetic field, the way that they exist, their dysregulated nervous system is influencing you on an unconscious level without your conscious awareness. So all of my information and the work that I do is to help you be understanding of your nervous system so that you can regulate, you can achieve those optimal states of health and wellness, and you can continue to be a positive ripple effect on your family and on your loved ones. That's how we make the world a better place. So I'm going to show you some photos. If you have the workbook, turn to page day 3. And if you don't have it, but you're interested in getting it, there's a link in my bio and you can just sign up and you'll be able to download the workbook immediately, so that you can follow along and you can see these photos, because again, they're kind of complex. Bear with me. So this is your electromagnetic field. And again, the Heart Math Institute does a really great job of describing and giving you a lot of education on what this thing is. But basically, when you're able to self-regulate and you have this beautiful bubble, right? Or just noticing that the bubbles intersect. And this is the way that you either positively or negatively influence people in your life. So that's just a visual representation of that. And then this is an opportunity to see co-regulation in a different way. So when somebody, your coworker, comes in who is very dysregulated, but you've taken my course, you understand the education that I provide, and you kind of stay in this peaceful state and you're not moving. You're like, I don't care what they do over there. I'm not moving out of my peaceful state because I know this is the best place and the best place for me to be influential and the best place for me to be. They have to adjust to you. So your little sailboat of a child or a partner or a coworker who's having this kicking and screaming effect, the more that you focus on your state of being, the more that you actually help them to self-regulate, which is so amazing. And that's how you increase peace in the world. And then the last picture I wanted to show you is there's a study through the Heart Math Institute, that's what we've been talking about, that they had 3 people to be coherent or to have the regulated nervous system, to be able to access states of coherence and harmony within their nervous system. They put them in a room and they didn't say anything about what the study was, but they had somebody who was very dysregulated come in and they didn't even say anything. nothing to him. And they were able to regulate his nervous system because they were not changing their emotional state. They were able to self-regulate. So this is just the power of maintaining your balanced nervous system and how you can positively influence somebody else's life based on your own ability to take care of yourself, basically. So that was a lot of information. Does anyone have questions on that concept? I highly suggest checking that company out because your emotional state, your ability to self-regulate not only positively impacts your ability to connect in relationships, but it also has a significant influence on your physical health. So again, if you notice that you are in more pain, you have anxiety, you have depression, you have chronic illness, you have digestion issues, you are chronically fatigued, you are feeling overwhelmed, you are feeling, you resonate with being irritable and angry and rageful and worried and concerned a lot of the day, that has so much to do with the change in your biochemistry that happens when you're unable to self-regulate. So if you resonated with any of that and you have questions that you don't want to say on this live, you can totally message me on Instagram. Here's a principle that I came up with. Level of tension that you hold inside of your body directly translates over the level. Yeah. Yeah, and that also shows me the level of tension in your body. You're in a chronic state of sympathetic nervous system arousal because you're anticipating. Yeah, you're anticipating impact from someone. So when you are tense and you're holding everything in, you are bracing for impact. And it doesn't necessarily have to be physical impact. It could be emotional impact, because they're now finding that Brene Brown, another one of my mentors and teachers, Brene Brown states that emotional pain and physical pain are processed in the same area of your brain. So if you are experiencing emotional pain and you don't want to look at it, there's a reason, because your brain processes physical pain and emotional pain in the same way. So it perceives emotional pain at the same severity as physical pain. And it's much easier to just suppress those feelings than to talk about them and let them out. However, I promise you, the more that you actually keep them in, the more dangerous they become. Because then you just you become chronically ill. It's like a festering wound that exists inside your body, and the more that you don't address it, the bigger and nastier it comes, until one day you have an explosion and you're like, why did that happen? It's because if you have too much pressure in a pressure cooker, what happens? You have to let the steam out. You have to process through some of that stuff to be able to free yourself up mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to be open to the world. Otherwise, you just live your life in this little bubble of misery. And I do not want that to happen, because not only is it not fun for you to experience, it's not good for your health, it's not good for your happiness, it's also really damaging to the people around you, especially your kids. So if this resonated, like I said, and you have questions and you want to talk to somebody, totally email me or message me on Instagram, or I have an opportunity to... Emotional pain is more harmful than physical pain. It can be. It's just processed in the same area as physical pain. So depending on how your nervous system is perceiving the emotional versus physical pain is probably determinant on which one is more harmful. But emotional pain does leave more emotional residue. So because we are intelligent humans, I mean, we're just like intelligent animals, but I sometimes think that we're more dumb than animals, because we do this thing where we replay issues, or we replay stories from the past that were painful, and then your brain, your subconscious mind, doesn't know if that event is happening now or if it happened in the past. So your biochemistry changes to suggest that you are experiencing that physical pain right now. So whatever you've been through in the past that's painful, that you haven't talked about, but you replay it, maybe it's a breakup, maybe something from your childhood happened, and you replay it as an adult over and over and over again. You don't actually know you don't actually know if it's happening now or if it happened then. So it's that emotional residue that lingers, that I promise you, in order to clear that out, you have to talk about it. So if you haven't seen a therapist or you haven't talked to somebody, I highly recommend that, because what it does is it dissipates the energy. It dissipates the attachment to how much you're actually holding on to that emotional experience. You can also do rewiring. So there's YouTube videos. This is what I specifically do with my private clients. I do subconscious rewiring to help you to detach from the attachment to that emotional experience. You can use YouTube if you're not quite ready to talk to someone just yet. You can use YouTube to rewiring subconscious programming. You can use binaural beats. There's a lot of stuff on Instagram. There's also, on YouTube. There's also a great book that you can utilize. It's free on YouTube. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's free on YouTube. Brain and body are one system. There's a reason why the body, brain and the body are one system. Says what it says. Somatic memory is both physical and mental. It's everything. Mental emotional states include a little more scientific. Thank you. Mental emotional states manifest into the physical experience of disease. So whatever you're thinking, whatever your mental emotional state is, will manifest in some sort of state. And for who, I don't know who this person is, feedback and provide a little bit more scientific material. Epigenetics. Epigenetics states that your mental emotional state will upregulate or downregulate gene expression based on what you are predestined to express, but also like you can turn on and turn off genes that exist within your DNA based on your mental emotional experience. I hope that was enough scientific material in my content. Truthfully, people on social media platforms aren't necessarily looking for that scientific material. You have to kind of encourage people with something that you have to meet people at their level and then bring them to the level of awareness that you're trying to bring them. So it's meeting you at your level of talking about intimacy, talking about connection, but bringing you into a deeper understanding of why you're disconnected. You can go to a therapist, you can go to a doctor for sexual dysfunction, and they'll give you a pill. But I promise you that that's not the reason why you're having disconnection in your relationship or sexual dysfunction in your relationship. It has more to do with underlying causes that you have to unravel. You have to look at those things in order to create sustainable change in your life, in your relationship, with your happiness, with your well-being. So after all of that knowledge, I want to give you a homework assignment. And again, if you want the access to the workbook, you can just click the link in my bio and download it right now. You'll have access to the material that we talked about and access to connection exercises to utilize with your spouse or by yourself, whatever your circumstances. These things work for individuals and for couples. So these are connection prompts. As you become more aware of your nervous system and how it's either being influenced by other people or you're influencing other people. Thank you. This will continue to be something that I hope, like, I just planted a seed and now you're just going to be like, wow, that person influences my energy field in a negative way. I'm going to see if I can create boundaries around it. I'm going to see if I can limit my time with this person or have a tough conversation with them about, hey, you are very miserable. What's going on? So it just offers an opportunity to make changes in your life, to be more aligned with your health and happiness. So these connection prompts are things that you can utilize with your partner or with people in your friend group, your family members. What are you currently working through that I don't see? Instead of just saying, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's one thing that you're going through that I don't see? If someone asked you that, how would you respond? You might be a little uncomfortable at first, but then you might be you might be encouraged to open up to them, to tell them something that you're going through that people don't see that you're going through. And that's how you create deeper connection. What is one small way I can be a better partner, be a better friend, be a better coworker? What's one small way I can show up for you when you're not feeling great? How can I support you better tomorrow? What's one thing I can do for you to make your day tomorrow? The hardest thing for me to reveal about how I feel is... So these are just some questions to stimulate that deeper conversation, those deeper, more meaningful connections with people, and to really be invested in like the human experience. Oh, you're also really, really stressed because your marriage isn't doing well, or oh, you hate this job too. Like, I resonate with that, and now maybe we become friends because I see you on a different level of understanding, and I know that what you're going through is something that I'm going through, and maybe we can help work through these things together. So I hope that was helpful. Hey, Jack. I hope that this was helpful, and if you want access to, what if your partner is completely naive and resistant to Oh, good question. So if you want your partner to just listen to this information, when you sign up for the workshop, there's a link in my bio, you'll get the workbook, but you'll also get access to these videos. So I highly encourage you to rewatch them, or you to watch them with your partner. They're short for a purpose. Like, if your partner's not into it, but she or he is willing to watch a 20-minute video on 2 times the speed just to get the knowledge of what I'm saying, highly recommend doing that, because at least there's a seed planted in her mind. If you want more science, I can also tell you that when you expose somebody to something new, you're actually activating a part of their brain called your reticular activating system. Your reticular activating system is what helps you to pay attention to the things that you're putting your attention on. So if you're focused on, my partner's terrible, I hate them, hopefully you're not saying I hate them, they stress me out, you're going to focus on everything that stresses you out about your partner. But if you focus on, oh, maybe it's my dysregulated nervous system, and you hear that one time, your reticular activating system will now pay attention to all the things that validate that belief. So you're reframing your context of how you associate with other people and other experiences based off of that part of your brain. So to answer your question, sign up for the workshop, and you'll get the replays. That way you can do this with your partner. Like, hey, I'm taking this intimacy workshop. Can we do it together? And then actually try the exercises that I've put in each day, so that you can start to just stimulate that deeper conversation, and know that if you're on your own journey of self-development and you've made a lot of progress and your partner's still down here, you have to give them a little grace, because they just have not been exposed to the level of growth and awareness that you have. So this is just a way to help to mitigate that gap and provide resources so that they maybe become curious and start asking you questions. But if you're speaking a different language to your partner, you have to just give them some time to adjust, some time to catch up to where you're at. Another thing to consider is explaining to them why growth. Yes. I'm reading this from Julian. Another thing to consider is explaining to them why growth and having a growth mindset is important. We are brought into this world knowing 2 things: how to root and how to breathe. Yes, I agree with a lot of that. It's very important to have a growth mindset, because we are constantly seeking growth as humans here on earth. Everything is seeking growth. If it's not seeking growth, it's literally dying. That's probably a lot of people that come to me in with their relationships, or just stuck in life. They're stuck. So that means they're literally dying off, like parts of their soul are dying, and they're seeking growth, but they're like hitting the ceiling because we haven't been taught how to expand beyond our limiting beliefs. So yes, my content is sometimes funny because it provides you intimacy prompts or whatever, but like, I am here for you to expand beyond the ceiling that you have against your growth. I'm here to be a hand to pull you out of the stuckness. I'm here to listen. So if you are struggling and you're like, I am ready for that next step of reconnecting to what I'm supposed to be doing here, reconnecting to my spouse, being excited about life again, give me a call. Super happy to talk to you about any of the above. And I will see you tomorrow for day 4.